"Your daughter is still alive," whispered homeless boy to biker. What he found out changed everything. The rain fell in sheets over the quiet cemetery, a gray curtain that seemed to separate the living from the dead. Daniel Hawk Turner stood before a fresh headstone, his massive frame hunched against the chill. The leather vest of the Iron Saints Motorcycle Club felt heavy today, weighed down not by the patches he wore with pride, but by the crushing grief of a father who had lost his only child. 19 years old. Emily was gone. The official report said it was a tragic accident, a car fire on a lonely stretch of highway, too fast, too hot, leaving nothing but ash and memories. Hawk traced the engraving of his daughter's name with a calloused finger, tears mixing with the rain on his cheeks. "I'm sorry, Em," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I couldn't protect you." "You don't have to be sorry," a small, raspy voice broke through the sound of the downpour. "Because she isn't dead." Hawk spun around, his hand instinctively going to the knife at his belt. Standing there, shivering in a threadbare hoodie, was a young boy no older than 12. His face was smudged with dirt, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and desperate urgency. This was Leo, a homeless kid Hawk had seen around town, often sharing a sandwich or a few dollars with him, though they had never truly spoken. "What did you say?" Hawk growled, stepping closer, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Don't play games with me, boy." "I'm not playing," Leo stammered, taking a step back but holding his ground. "I saw her, Mr. Turner, 3 days ago, near the old harbor warehouses. She was wearing the silver feather necklace you gave her for her birthday, the one with the tiny sapphire in the center. They were forcing her into a white van." The world stopped spinning for Hawk. That necklace. It was the last thing he had given Emily before she left home that fateful night. If the car had burned to a crisp, the necklace should have melted along with everything else. But Leo had seen it, alive, on her neck. A fire ignited in Hawk's chest, burning away the fog of grief and replacing it with a cold, razor-sharp rage. He grabbed Leo gently by the shoulders. "Tell me exactly where, every detail." Within the hour, the rumble of engines shattered the silence of the cemetery. Hawk had called in the favor. Dozens of bikers from the Iron Saints roared onto the scene, their chrome gleaming even under the storm clouds. When Hawk explained what Leo had told them, the mood shifted instantly from mourning to war. These men were brothers, and when one brother's child was stolen, the whole club bled. They rode hard to the police station first. Hawk, using his connections and sheer intimidation, demanded to see the file. What they found made their blood boil. The report was rushed, signed off by an officer who had since retired mysteriously. The forensic analysis of the fire showed accelerants used after the crash, not before. The car hadn't exploded, it had been torched to hide evidence. And there, listed as unrecoverable debris, was Emily's phone. But Hawk knew better. He knew where the wreckage was stored. Breaking into the impound lot under the cover of the storm, Hawk retrieved the charred remains of the phone. It looked destroyed, but the SIM card slot was empty. Someone had wiped it deliberately. This wasn't an accident. It was an execution of identity. They had tried to make Emily vanish so she could be sold. "Harbor District," Hawk commanded, mounting his bike. "Let's bring our girl home." The raid on the warehouse was chaotic and violent. The Iron Saints didn't knock, they kicked the doors down. Inside, the air smelled of rust and despair. Rows of cages lined the concrete floor, filled with terrified young people. Traffickers scrambled for weapons, but they were no match for a swarm of enraged bikers. Hawk moved through the chaos like a force of nature, ignoring the shouts and the gunfire until he reached the far corner. There, huddled in a cage, was a girl with matted hair and bruised arms. But around her neck, glinting in the dim light, was the silver feather. "Emily?" Hawk choked out, dropping to his knees as he tore the lock off the cage. "Dad?" Her voice was a whisper, barely audible. When she looked up and saw his face, she collapsed into his arms. The reunion was raw and heartbreaking, a father clinging to the miracle he thought he had lost forever. They "They said you were dead," she sobbed. "They told me everyone forgot me." "I would never forget you," Hawk vowed, wrapping his cut around her shaking shoulders. "Never." As federal agents swarmed the building, led by a tip-off Hawk had made during the rescue, the traffickers were dragged away in handcuffs. The operation was busted, dozens of lives saved. But amidst the flashing lights and the cheering of his brothers, Hawk sought out the small figure standing near the ambulance. Leo looked exhausted, wrapped in a thermal blanket. Hawk walked over, the big biker looking small in the presence of such courage. He knelt down, eye to eye with the boy. "You saved her," Hawk choked out, his voice thick with emotion. "You gave me my life back." Leo shrugged shyly. "You shared your lunch with me when no one else would. You treated me like a person." In that moment, Hawk realized that kindness is never wasted. A simple act of generosity toward a homeless boy had rippled out to save his daughter. The world often tells us to look away, to keep our heads down, but Leo had looked up and spoken the truth. As the sun began to break through the storm clouds, illuminating the harbor, Hawk held his daughter close and looked at Leo. The boy wasn't just a homeless kid anymore, he was a hero. And Hawk knew that from this day forward, Leo would never want for anything again. He had a new family, a new purpose, and a father who owed him everything. If you believe in the power of kindness and the possibility of second chances, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more emotional stories. Your support helps us spread hope to millions who need to hear that miracles still happen. Don't forget to tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Let's remind the world that no one is ever truly forgotten. Thanks for watching.